According to the Mineral Resources and Energy Department, there has been an increase in illegal mining in the country, with miners risking their lives in completely unsafe and hazardous conditions. Well, these illegal activities are said to be taken over by crime syndicates. In May last year, 4 illegal miners died after a fight broke out at the Transvaal gold mining estate in Dinki in Mpumalanga. Illegal mining has made really a considerable dent as well in the economy. So how does one describe the state of South Africa's mining sector and also the impact of illegal mining on our communities? Well, to answer that question, we are joined by Mr. Sabelo Mnguni, the National Administrator of the Mining Affected Communities United in Action. Mr. Mnguni, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to start with this because this is one of the stories that we exclusively found here at Newzroom Afrika in the past week, and that was the story of a 65-year-old man who was, of course, in court with 9 other accused, allegedly for allowing illegal miners to dig a hole in his bedroom to access a mine shaft. I mean, your initial reaction on how illegal mining is not just something that happens on the sidelines of our communities at this point, but it's become very much a part of our communities.
Yeah, thank you, Naled. Morning to all the viewers and to you too. Yeah, I think first we need to be cautious when we use the term illegal mining, because legality of mining, it comes in various form, including the commercial mining. We experience illegality. So coming to the issue of Zamazamas, as a movement, we've been challenging the TMPR now to come to the party to ensure that we legalize the artisanal mining space, because it contributes. It has a potential to contribute a lot to the economy. So at this moment in time, in the absence of regulations, in the absence of guiding principles as to how they should safely embark in mining, in artisanal mining, we see a lot of criminal elements that are taking place, where shafts are being taken by criminal activities without exploiting some of this zamazamas, so to say. We normally don't refer to them as zamazamas because the name carries a stigma on its own. So we prefer to say artisanal miners. But in the Zamazama space, where there is no transparency, where there is no policy, obviously, criminal elements, there is a potential of criminal elements to take place. So in this absence of these policies, yes.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack. Look, there's a lot to unpack already in what you've said, right? You said in the communities you don't use the word zamazamas because it's got a stigma attached to it. But then where do you place the conversation of saying, well, we need to call it artisanal mining and that even commercial mining, there are illegalities. You make the point that perhaps we need to move towards legalizing illegal mining at this point. But there's the question around how you start involving communities. I mean, there's something to be said about the images that we've been running about people drilling holes in their homes to give access to illegal miners. I mean, surely there is a line that needs to be drawn.
Yes, definitely there is a line. If I can maybe use an example, in 2016, we were able to get artisanal miners to obtain permit in Kimberley. So there is already a process that can facilitate the process where artisanal miners get licenses or permits to mine. At the moment, how the policy is set out, the SAM policy is set out that communities needs to form a cooperative to form part of or to be able to obtain a license. In that manner, everyone in the community can participate. We need to remember one thing, that when we talk about illegal mining or zamazamas, they normally go to mines that were abandoned by the commercial miner. So we're sitting with a lot of mining abandoned mines that are ownerless. So that's when you will find, especially in the gold sector, that's when you'll see zamazamas coming in, mining those shafts. Some of those zamazamas are former miners, are people who've been mining. So with these criminal elements that is happening within the sector, it's obviously it's having a negative impact towards the sector. It's also having a negative impact more within the community where they operate, because now you will find there's a pushback between the SAPS trying to combat the crimes that are happening and them trying to fight for the territory. Within that criminal elements, you'll fight within that with Zamazama space. Also, there are criminals, there are groupings that they will fight over shafts. While they are fighting over shafts, as community members, we find ourselves also impacted.
I wonder,
bringing in all stakeholders. Yes, thank you.
I wonder if, though, we're too late for this discussion, and that you're calling it artisanal mining, and that's all good and well. But at the moment, it is illegal mining because it is not within the law. And you can certainly make the comparison between commercial mining and illegal mining. But it is, at this point, illegal, and that's what I'm going to call it. In Zimbabwe, though, they call it small-scale mining. In fact, in Zim, they've tolerated it, and even, in fact, in some instances, encouraged small-scale and artisanal mining. But they have what some call, I suppose, a supply chain, right, where according to a law there, the unprocessed minerals can only be sold with the consent of a minister. So talk to me about how we structure legalizing and structuring illegal mining at this point, when the problem has gotten so far that you have mine shafts by communities that are so big that people's houses are collapsing in communities.
Yes, no thanks. First things first, for every conversation to benefit everyone, it needs all stakeholders to be in the same table. At this moment in time, what we are struggling with, you are struggling to get the regulator, which the MPR, to come to the party with the so-called Zamazama, so illegal miners, to formulate a policy that will ensure the facilitation of or structuring the sector itself. Obviously, where there's regulations, there is a formal structures of financial structures. There will be a structure, a financial structure that ensures communities also benefit, even the economy itself. So, even if what we've seen as a movement, even the illegal mine or the gold that is accumulated illegally, it end up to the same commercial farmers. So if we can again borrow an example that I mentioned earlier on in Kimberley, what is happening at the moment in Kimberley, we've got artisanal miners that are holding permits to mine with an assistant of a commercial miner or that is mining in the area. So it can happen. It did happen in 2016 in Kimberley, where all stakeholders were in the same room. The Zamazamas, the regulator, and other parts of the departments, environment and stuff. We just need to have a round table where everyone can participate and share, have an input as to what can work, what cannot work. But as I mentioned, it did happen in 2016. It can continue to happen. We've
also seen criminal elements, though, that are linked to what is being done by illegal miners, right? So there's the illegal immigrants coming into the country from various countries, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, the list goes on. How do we tackle that? That's the first thing. And then the violence associated with it. Many communities saying they live in fear because illegal miners are, in some cases, quite heavily armed. So what do we do about the criminal elements that, while you say we legalize, as you call it, artisanal mining?
Criminality is criminality. In the criminal element, we are not including the same conversation as artisanal miners. Law needs to take place. SAPS needs to be empowered to be able to combat these crimes. Yes, many of these criminal syndicates in the Zamazama sector, in the artisanal mining, they carry a lot of ammunition. When even some of the guns you hardly see our police saving them. The issue is that which, in terms of illegal immigrants that are mining or are working as Zamazamas, we need to bring all the departments that are responsible for ensuring who enters the country, how do they enter the country, do they obtain the required documents for them to be part of the country. We know we've got a problem with the porous borders in the country. We've got a problem of irregular or maladministration that is taking place at the Home Affairs.
All right. Let me ask you this, Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mnguni, final question, and I've got about 30 seconds for this one, if you will. You say let's legalize illegal mining and call it artisanal mining. If we don't do that, what will we be seeing?
We will continue to see what is happening at the moment. We will continue to see criminal elements. We will continue to see exploitation of those illegal immigrants that are working in the sector. We will continuously see the abuse that we receive as communities who are close to or close by to in these operations. So once it's illegalized, then it will be easy to have protocols or systems that we use to hold any criminal elements that can suffice from the industry to account. At the moment, there are no systems that we can use. We can only rely on the SAPS to come in. And we know SAPS were not trained or I wouldn't say they lack skill, but they are not privy to skills that are needed to deal with these criminal elements. But the law needs to take course where criminal elements surfaces in the industry. We are not promoting a terrorization of community. We are against it. What we are requesting, we are moving forward with as a movement to come in and change the MPRTA. Because at this moment in time, the MPRTA is silent in terms of SM, is silent in terms of mining affected communities.
Okay.
So once we get a regulation that allows communities to be part of the stakeholders, that allows us as communities to have a voice, then we will see a different environment.
Yeah.
At the moment, the environment is not conducive.
Okay. Sabelo, we really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us. Sabelo Mnguni, he, of course, is with the Mining Affected Communities United in Action.